Welcome to Zoom O'Clock with your host, Tessie Anthony de Nassau. This podcast brings you enlightening discussions with leading experts and public figures directly to your ears.
Hi, Dr. John.
Hi, Tessie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
It's so great to be here. It's great to see you.
It's so wonderful, really. It has been long now since Davos 2020. That is when I met you, Dr. John, and I must confess, it has been the most amazing meet and greet I ever experienced in my life.
It was an interesting one, right? How we met through Shelley, right? Shelley Zollis at the Equality Lounge, right?
Exactly, because of Shelley and Julianne Hugh at the Equality Lounge. And it was really like from one second to the other, I saw you treat a person at a party and I went straight up to you because I don't know what it was. I just knew you could help me. And I went up to you and I remember asking, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. So for people to give a little bit of an introduction of what I have experienced so far with Dr. John, and then I let you talk because it's all about you today. Is that Dr. John and I, when we met in Davos, obviously I had a huge burnout years ago from my divorce and a lot of anxieties and all of these emotions inside me still stuck. And, you know, once you have a burnout, and I'm sure you agree with me, Dr. John, it takes years to really digest everything, to get it out of your body, get it out of your system, and really work through it. It's not something you can plaster up with antidepressants or any medication. It needs to be really, you need to experience it to let it go. And so the experience I had very briefly is that you then very kindly came to our apartment in Davos and treated me there on your table. And the one thing I experienced, which was really something out of this world, and my partner Frank, he saw it, was that my legs were shaking uncontrollably, literally for 15 to 20 minutes, which I have not ever experienced before or after. And it really released so much in my body that I was sick literally after for 2 weeks because it was really so intense for my body. But
sounds super compelling to everyone.
No, but it was just
yeah.
It was. I have never felt so good in my life since that passed. It was just I really needed to work through it. Mm-hmm. So that's enough for me. But please, Dr. John, tell me. You know, what am I talking about? What are you doing? How did you get into it, and where can people see what you're doing when they're not in LA, for example?
Well, thank you. Certainly, not everybody has an experience where they get wiped out for, like 2 weeks, but sometimes the body definitely is purging. There are people that have, quite a lot of emotion expressed, that maybe things that were held in their system and their body and their energy field from childhood, experiences or unintegrated, unresolved, traumas they've gone through, or they've gone through, even generational patterns, things that their parents have been exposed to, and different, things along the lines of, what happened in the past to family members, et cetera, can get carried basically in our field. And this is like the field of epigenetics looks at this. The body holds information. The body is information and energy. And so when I worked with you, and I started to connect, to what was going on in your body, you were holding, like your body was in a significant state of fight or flight that had been in like a protective, vigilant state. And there was so much energy bound up in your body out of just trying to kind of navigate through a bunch of the challenges you had gone through, that when your brain and body started coordinating and your whole system was like, hey, like, I don't need to hold on to this anymore. I can let this go. It came out in the form of a lot of motion for you. Your body was dissipating that energy through motion and shaking. For some people, they get, it can be a physical purging, movement, sounds, emotion comes out. Other people, it's just a pure sense of like, a resolution and relief. Things open up, the consciousness expands, there's more energy flow, and your you're no longer having to carry the information held somewhere in your body. You can just let it move through you and express. And the body recreates every several years. So you've got all new cells, all new tissues. So if you're holding a pattern and you're holding that energy from a long ago experience, you are going to you're going to recreate your body every few years. So why do we need to recreate the same pattern over and over? The intervention, in a way, is to help you unhook that pattern, disrupt that pattern, so you can create something new. And sometimes when it unhooks, and the process of that energy finally releasing, there's a big recognition of it through motion, through sound, like your body was shaking. I think actually we put your whole body was shaking, like teeth were chattering. The whole body was going through a process. Actually, there's a Porges and polyvagal theory is one approach, and there are different approaches where they actually kind of purposefully create the body to go into this like shaking dissipation, like an animal does after it's in fight or flight, and they sort of dissipate that energy. That's a way to move the energy so you're not holding it and holding on to it and carrying it forward. So you spontaneously went there. And then I think we kind of like moved you off the table, Frank and I, because I had to go, and put you in a little, like covered you up. And then I think you were there for hours, right?
I fell asleep. I literally, after that, not only, well, I was just so, I had a real sense of peace and relief. But I was very weak. And I was just literally, we put a mattress on the floor by the heater because it was Davos and it was freezing outside. And I literally fell asleep for a few hours, which was wonderful because I woke up, and for the first time since years, I did not have that sensation of tingliness in my legs, like that restlessness, which is really, for me, it was a huge relief. And from there, it just all became better. And
the restlessness, it was associated with kind of an anxiousness, right? So that feeling of, and so many people that are feeling anxious, they're feeling overwhelmed. They, especially right now in the world, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of still just kind of concern about everything from finances to how am I gonna sort of go forward? What's going to happen in the world? Am I going to, for some people, it's am I going to like get sick, or is a loved one going to get sick? But for most people, I think it's more about like, how am I going to navigate this new territory? What's going to happen? And so that sort of vigilance that the body's in, and that fight flight, like I got to hold it all together, that is a contraction. That is a response to a stress, a situation that most people kind of contract and hold and bind energy up and drop to a lower consciousness, which is just survival. And what needs to happen, for us to be able to move forward and make progress and create and go forward into like what's next in an empowered way, is that we have to have enough energy free in our bodies, and also enough flow and enough awareness, and for our consciousness to be at an expanded enough place that we can actually see the possibilities for the future, rather than still be reacting to what's happening or what appears to be happening or what might be happening. So in a way, when we did the session with you, we were releasing a pattern of reaction to the past, allowing things to free and open up. And for you, a lot had to purge out and release, but it resets the system so that now you can draw in more of what's coming, and you can create and push out into the world, or allow out into the world what you're really here for, really.
That's beautiful. No, I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. And we will be doing a lot of things in the future, that's for sure. But talking about you then a little bit more, if I can. So you just released a new show. Tell us about that.
So at the end of February, it was like right after Davos, a few days after Davos, what's called the Goop Lab on Netflix came out, and that is with Gwyneth Paltrow. It came out to a lot of like controversy, because it's like, here are these people on there, Wim Hof is on there working with breath, and I'm on there. There's someone else working with psychedelics. There's another person working with female sexuality. So it was a very, kind of controversial show, but really, really well done, beautifully filmed. And there's an episode on there. On the 5th episode is on Goop Labs is an episode with me doing energy work with people, and I'm working off the body. So I'm like 3-4 feet off the body or more, and you see the body, like you explained that your body was shaking. You can see in that video, you can see one of the women on the table is shaking and vibrating. Julianne Hough is in there, and she's doing this wave of energy as you can see her whole body moving, and she's making sounds and expressing. And Gwyneth is in there. I'm working on her, and she's having this experience. People are shaking and vibrating and moving and expressing, and people are going, WTF, what is going on here? So it was the biggest platform that I've shared what I'm doing with. And so, a lot of people are getting exposed, and I've had, like over hundreds of thousands of people actually have kind of reached out, and it's been a really interesting ride, because there's been so much interest and curiosity of like, how is it that the body can respond on the physical plane and have this physical response when he's not touching them. I even had a physicist do a whole piece on it, which had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, which was kind of trying to debunk or just questioning and going, no, like, what is he saying? And then he's in a laboratory in the UK, and so I'm actually in conversation. I'm in email dialogue with him for the past couple months about looking at research, et cetera, and how we may be able to explore, because someone who's more kind of coming from a objectively what is happening, and I'm saying, well, the models that I'm working in and how we're working you have to reference new models of biology and physics and how they come together. So people like Rupert Sheldrake, people like who was doing work on morphic fields, who's based out of the UK. James Oshman is another scientist who's doing work with the energy body and energy system. Other PhDs and researchers that are doing work to explore like how this is real. Like acupuncture and the meridians are real. The Vedic tradition and the chakras and the energy centers, they're real phenomenon. They're not happening in the 3D world. They're in this other kind of dimension. But what does that mean? How do we bring that into the language of the culture, and how can we use this? How can we measure it? How can we know that, we know that energy is 100% of the universe. Basically, there's only like less than 5% of the whole entire universe is considered physical matter, about 4.5%. So subatomically, that's all energy too. So if everything is energy, then why are we getting all upset, about this? How can energy work be doing something? Because everything is energy work. But subtle, meaning like not happening because of a physical interaction with a physical object pushing something from point A to point B, but rather influencing or working with the fields. These are known as morphic fields, or the biofield by Dr. Beverly Rubik coined that. The biofield is the energy field around the body. The energy fields are real. I mean, you can measure them electromagnetically. You can use instrumentation. Magnometers sensitive instruments can measure the field of the heart, for example, a few feet off the body. So this is real. So the question now becomes, for me, is like, if we can influence change in the physical world with much more subtle approaches without having to go in and try to like manipulate something from in the physical, but we can actually interact with and shift the field that is organizing and shaping what's going to happen. In physics, there's different names for it, but like they call it the strange attractor, or it's a foundation of chaos theory, where one little, it's also called the butterfly effect, where one little input of force into a system can create a huge change in the entire system. This is like the butterfly flaps its wings in Japan, creates a tornado in the US. That is a fact of life. That is how the world actually works. So if I can put like a tiny amount of force, input, and focus and attention into a part of the system, one little point, someone's life could totally change. Their whole physiology and biology can change and this is based on principles of science. This is not some just woo out there thing. You want to find where is someone most receptive? How can I give them the most critical input right now in this place that's the most open and receptive that can create the biggest global change? And if I can do that, then I give them an opportunity to self-assess, be more aware, organize their system in a different way, and release what doesn't need to be released out into the environment through energy, through heat, through movement, through emotion, through expression. And then there's more availability to draw in what you need. And so that's life, like, right? So giving and receiving of, you're drawing energy in, you're letting energy come out, and how efficiently and effectively you do that really determines the quality of your life and determines your impact. That is like I said, the butterfly effect is like the impact of one person can be, you think of someone like Mahatma Gandhi, you think of someone, you think of people that had a massive impact, one person, but because it's nonlinear, the effects can be global. And we're kind of seeing that with COVID right now. We're seeing this little tiny virus, and just infected a handful of people in Wuhan, China, and then it kind of spread. And now this, like, the whole entire world is like, the whole economic system, everything is completely altered because of one little input somewhere. This one little virus jumped from this to that, or whatever, however that happened. And now we're seeing a global effect. And this is like, so to me, this means we all have the ability to make a global impact in some way, shape, or form. Maybe so far reaching we'll never even know, because we maybe by the time we expire, we'll have made impacts on people that we don't really know what will happen generations from now. So, it inspires me and to keep doing what I'm doing is like help people live their highest and best, most aware, most energized life, so that they can impact the world in a way that really makes a difference.
Wow. Well, it's just incredible. I could listen to you forever. We have already passed all of the time.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, I had so many other questions, but we can always do another Zoom o'clock, and people can definitely find you online. But just in 30 seconds, maybe, in times of lockdown, and you mentioned COVID-19, what do you want to share with the world?
I mean, you make a difference in every action and every thought and every way that you show up, and it makes a difference to go for what it is that you dream as possible, and create what it is that you're here to create. Whatever that is, go for it, and you'll never know how far-reaching those effects will be. So you're important and critical in this juncture, especially. So do it. Do it now.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. John.
Thank you, Tessie.
Thank you, and have a good rest of the day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this Zoom o'clock. We hope this discussion was insightful and has provoked some new ideas for you. Please share and subscribe. If you'd like to keep in touch with your host, you can find her on Instagram under Tessie_from_Luxembourg and on Twitter under Tessie_DE.